Hello, welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Thursday, December 21st. We are back. We got a little bit of a weird slate. There is a 6-game on Draftkings, a 7-game on FanDuel, but we have 8 games on the night. Not quite sure why the last game is not on FanDuel or either of the last 2 games on DraftKings. Kind of interesting situation, but we will go over everything nonetheless. But before I get into it, a couple things I want to bring up. First, we have an awesome promo going on here. Sleeper, a $500 match. All you got to do is be a new customer, deposit, and you get a dollar for dollar match up to $500. Should absolutely take advantage of that. And on top of it, you get a free Lion Star month if you use our promo code LionStar. There's also the link right here on our pricing page. You can go through that and get it all. Now, also, we had a nice slate yesterday. So I hope you guys listened. There were definitely some takeaways from yesterday's show that could have helped you win, like Jabari Smith, who went absolutely nuts. But I was able to get second and third. Unfortunately, Drew Holiday did just enough to have me get passed by petty theft. But hey, I will gladly take second and third. And we'll move on to the next slate and hopefully win some more. Now, let's get into that slate. All right. And let's get this going as we always do. All right, so here's the 7 games on FanDuel. Last game is this Lakers and Minnesota. On DraftKings, it is 6, and that Lakers and Minnesota game is not there. We also do have, if you're playing on FanDuel, the big news there is there's no LeBron James tonight, so that obviously changes the FanDuel slate a ton compared to this DraftKings. Now, we'll do our best to kind of break down both, but it is kind of a weird slate to go through. And for our matchups, I will stick on the FanDuel one because it gives us that last game as well. All right, so position by position, starting at point guard, high-owned players, we got Craig Porter, Chris Dunn, and Colin Sexton. Now, all of them are fine. Don't mind any of them. Chris Dunn's coming in at a very nice value. He should get a lot of minutes today with all of those Jazz injuries. There's really not that many people to play point guard or shooting guard for the Jazz. Talon Horton-Tucker is now out as well. So pretty much everybody they've relied on all season is out. Colin Sexton's still there. Sexton, I think, looks very, very good. Craig Porter looks good. Can't believe Craig Porter's salary didn't go up more in this situation. But he looks like he's in a pretty good spot too, and at much less ownership than he would have had last night. All 3 totally fine with. Some pivots that I like. Sam Merrill. Merrill may go a little too high-owned or a little more high-owned tonight after his second straight very good game. Came off the bench, played 30 minutes, had 27 points, hit 8 threes. The guy was just absolutely filling the bucket with threes. But because he played well, he probably did get extra minutes than he would have, otherwise. I would say, it's hard to count on 30 again. We have 26 right now, and I would probably put him in that 26-minute area as well. He still has real nice upside at that point, 0.95 per minute fantasy player so far. So I do like him quite a bit. D'Angelo Russell. If you're on FanDuel, I think D'Lo is extremely interesting. He does get one of the biggest bumps without LeBron James on the court. Essentially what happens is he just has the ball in his hand more. LeBron soaks up so much usage and runs so much of the offense going through him that it hurts D'Lo. Without LeBron, D'Lo looks way, way better. Definitely intrigued by him. And Kobe White. Look, he's a guy we keep going back to, keep talking about, but he is just playing an insane amount of minutes. He only played 33 last night. He is on a back-to-back, but he's been playing 38, 40 minutes, and now he has a just spectacular matchup versus the Spurs. So I like him quite a bit as a low-owned piece. Now, the one thing that I'm finding with today is it's pretty hard to get different. A lot of the guys I like are the higher-owned guys. So it's a little bit of a tricky slate. And these are the ones I struggle with the most because I try to get different. And when I'm not really liking a lot of places or people, that players, picks, however you want to say it, that are different, I really struggle in creating lineups that are unique. And I think that's the problem with tonight's slate. Now, hopefully some more injury news comes out to change things up a little bit. But so far, a lot of the chalk looks good. So Draftkings, high-owned, point guard. We got Porter, we got Dunn, we got Ja Morant. Ja Morant, we didn't talk about on FanDuel. I do like him on FanDuel too. Look, dude is just a beast, and he showed it again. 57 fantasy points, played 35 minutes. The fact that he played 35, you got to expect him to play 34, 35 again tonight. And now he is in a huge pace-up spot against a team that pretty much lets the most points in the league. So I really like the spot for Ja. He should shred the Pacers. The one thing I do have to say here is it's actually a little bit of a tough matchup for point guards. So maybe Ja gets a bump down a little bit here, but nonetheless, I think he's in a great spot to succeed. We were on him in that first game. Might as well go back in the second. And on to the matchup tab. So Halliburton is on the top for the matchups. Grizzlies have just been terrible versus point guard. One thing I do need to say is that Marcus Smart is not out of this game. He is doubtful. If he is back, that defense is going to look a little bit better, but I do think Halliburton is interesting. Now, he's came back to earth a little bit from what he was doing throughout like November, where it was 60s, 70s, just game after game. He's been in that 40 range, which is probably more so who he is. But we know that ceiling is there, so I am willing to take some shots. Don't just love it. Don't just hate it. Mike Conley, I think he's in an interesting spot. The issue with Conley is 26, 28, maybe 30 minutes. It just really kills his upside when, he's priced right around a lot of different guys. So it's a decent matchup, but his upside is severely hurt. Ja, we talked about. McCollum looks okay. Don't really love it. Chris Dunn is in a great spot. We'll see if he is starting. If he's starting, the minutes are a little more secure. But he is a guy that scores decently on a fantasy points per minute, but it's mainly due to his defense and getting steals and blocks and whatnot. He's got to come through on the offensive side to really break a slate for you. All right, now let's get into shooting guard. High-owned guys on FanDuel. We got Chris Dunn, Colin Sexton, and Max Strus. Fine with all of them. Strus is okay. I'm probably staying away. Don't really love the spot for him versus the Pelicans. They got some very good wing defenders, and I think that's going to hurt Strus a little bit. Anthony Edwards, hey, right after he comes out saying he loves to go at LeBron James, and LeBron James is the one who he wants to cook, LeBron James is just going to be out? Come on. He's ducking AE. All right, kidding a little bit on there. But Edwards, look, he is one of the best players in the league, straight up, and I think he's in a great spot versus the Lakers. Nobody on that team can really stop him. The one thing here, 224 total. It's a pretty low total for, the slate as a whole, and the biggest chance of a blowout is here and in Milwaukee. So it is a little bit hard to chase it, but I do like Anthony Edwards. We talked about D'Lo, like him as well. On DK, shooting guard, Sam Merrill, Karis LeVert, and Colin Sexton. I like LeVert once again today. A little worried that he didn't get the minutes that he really needed to yesterday to succeed. Only had 27 minutes. 3 fouls could have been a little bit of an issue, but it is not as good of a spot for him today as it was yesterday. Still think he's a decent play, though. That ceiling is absolutely there for 6,500. And matchup tool. So Beasley, Vince Williams, Brandon Ingram, and Cunningham. I don't mind going to Cunningham. I think it's actually a pretty interesting play. Utah is getting a lot of ownership, and if you do a little mini correlation there, you might be able to kind of drop some of that Utah ownership by adding another piece there. And if that game really goes, you'll probably need a piece from Detroit. Vince Williams is actually a little interesting to me. I like that his price is still sub 5K. He's shown some 30-point upside. The one issue for me here is the fact that Ja's back, and it's still a little unclear how his usage will be affected. Obviously, it's going to be hurt a little bit, but how hurt? When he was getting decent minutes pre-Ja, he definitely had that mid 30-point upside. Not 100% sure it's still there with Ja, but I am willing to take some chances in a good matchup. Ingram is extremely good. Would love if Zion or Jonas are out for him because it helps him quite a bit. Now on to small forward. We got DeRozan, Max Strus, and Simone Fontecchino. I know I probably butchered that name, and I am sorry. My deepest apologies. DeMar DeRozan, still 8,100. It is wild to me. We are all over him yesterday at low ownership, put up 52. Now he's at high owned. He is in a super good matchup. I am still going there. Price is just wrong. Still, without Levine, he is way better than an 8,100 player. Max Strus is fine. Simone, I'm definitely getting to some Simone as well. What we have seen is he has that mid-30s upside when people are out, and people are out. He might be asked to score. He's been playing 36 minutes some games, and with them being, a little short on the bench, I bet he gets that once again today. AE, we like Paulo Banchero, I think is in a very good spot. 7,900 versus this Milwaukee team that does let teams score, and he has solid upside. I mean, he's hit 53 times in the last couple weeks, so you gotta like that. The issue is, he doesn't have much of a floor. Can give you mid-20s, low 30s, and that crushes you, but when he gives you those 50s, it's working, and I think this is a matchup that he could get you in the 50s, and he's going to need to for the Magic to stay into it. Bojan Bogdanovic. I think he's in a great spot, 6,800. I'm absolutely willing to pay for it for a guy that's, for a lot of his career, flirts with right around fantasy point per minute. Now he gets a Utah Jazz team that is depleted, doesn't like to play defense. And I think it's pretty interesting, and not enough people are going there in my mind. So totally willing to tackle that one. And small forward on DK, we got LeVert, we got Dunn, we got Bojan. Vince is next. Talked about them all. Just move straight over to matchups. Jaden McDaniel, Keldon Johnson, Bruce Brown. I actually don't love the matchup for Bruce Brown. Think it's a little bit of a tough one for him, but hey, I still don't mind going there and attacking one of the higher pace games of the slate. Keldon Johnson I do think is interesting. I just am struggling to get there. Wemby's back. His price is up. I just don't love his price. I wish it would come down. The one thing I have to say about him, though, is he does have that mid-40s upside that we do like to see. It's just that at 7,300, a lot of that upside is kind of taken away, so there's more downside risk than upside. And power forward, we got Kelly Olynyk, Jarrett Allen, and Luka Samanic. Look, Jazz are beat up everywhere. Kelly Olynyk is going to play the minutes. He's right around a fantasy point per minute. He's in a good matchup. Makes a lot of sense for people to go there. Jarrett Allen, I think, is very interesting. He's 20% owned. Cleveland is going to be high owned tonight. He has an upside we like. It's just he doesn't hit it that much. He hit it a couple nights ago. When he gets going and really gets going, he could fill up the stat sheet. But this matchup isn't the best for him versus a Jonas Valanciunas. And Luka shouldn't be popping up. Bonchero, we talked about, like him. Bojan, Jaren Jackson. Ja is back. He turned in the block Panther. 3 blocks last game. Only played 30 minutes. He really needs to get up to that 33, 34-minute area to pay off his salary. But versus a Pacers team that's going to be high-paced, it makes a lot of sense to be able to get an extra block or two or steal or two in this matchup, and he can absolutely score on these Pacers, so don't mind going to Jaren. And that will do it for our liked players there. And over on DK, Luka, Bojan, and Bobby Portis. Talked about Bojan. Bobby Portis is just kind of meh to me. I'm not really loving 5,500. Bobby Portis. Now he has some upside, but the team is healthy too. I mean, a lot of things have to go right for him to have those big games when everybody's healthy. And with ownership going there, I'm probably not. And matchups, Jaren Jackson on the top, Patrick Williams. We haven't talked about Patrick Williams. I played him a little bit yesterday. His price, mid-5s, is pretty interesting and a very good matchup. Guy's been playing a lot of minutes and asked to do a little bit more with no Levine. So you can get a guy that can get close to 40 at 5,700 is a little bit interesting. I wouldn't go overboard with it, but definitely intrigued. Bojan up there on the matchups. Love to see that. And let's get over to center position. Olynyk, Jaren Allen, Jaren Jackson. Talked about them all. Miles Turner. We have not talked about Miles Turner. He's going against Memphis. It's a great spot for him. He is questionable right now, so we do have to wait for that news. The other thing is Jalen Smith is questionable. What we saw when Smith was out is that Turner was getting a couple extra minutes. Those couple extra minutes are huge. So if Jalen Smith is out, I like Turner a lot more. I don't mind him as it is. He can definitely get there. He would have crushed last night had he played more than 25 minutes. Putting up 30 in 25 minutes is pretty solid. It just was a blowout, so they didn't really need him anymore. But I do like Miles. Only played 25, so I don't care about that back-to-back. Jonas Valanciunas, look, the guy has been playing a lot of minutes, and when he does, he produces fantasy points. It's plain and simple. He's in a good spot. He could definitely cook Jarrett Allen. And on to DK, Vukovic, Bobby Portis, and Wendell Carter. So Wendell Carter, his price is pretty low. My issue, 23 minutes, and now he's on a back-to-back. Yeah, he might start again, but those minutes aren't going to really go up too much. Not when he's coming off the injury report and been an extended absence. So I am not on the Wendell Carter train tonight. Vooch, he's in a similar spot to Jonas Valanciunas. he's been getting minutes, and when he does, when he gets solid 34, 36 minutes, and there's no Levine, he's used a little bit more, and you're getting a guy that has mid-50s upside at 8,100. It's definitely intriguing. Do not hate it. And matchup tool, Walker Kessler at the very top. Kessler is absolutely interesting. Played 30 minutes last night. Can definitely do that again in a very good matchup. So it makes a lot of sense to want to go to Kessler. He's a huge fantasy per minute guy. And if he is adding, his blocks to the party, those fantasy points go up pretty quick. Don't mind going to some Kessler. AD, I'm not in love with tonight. There is no LeBron, so I'm shocked that his ownership isn't higher than it is. But the simple part is AD is going against a team with a lot of big guys that throw at him, and I just don't love that situation. They can match up Cat on him. They can match up Gobert with him, and both of those guys can kind of move around the whole court with him well. It's not like they're, slow big men that don't move. Both those guys can. So I just don't love the spot for AD tonight. Vooch, just fine. Top matchup, and going high owned on DK. Don't mind going there. His price is just a little high on FanDuel, but the ceiling is there, so you could play him if you want. All right, guys, that will do it for us today. I hope you guys did good yesterday. If you did, please let me know in the comments. And as always, like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube videos. Helps us a ton. See you guys later. See you next week. I will not be doing a show tomorrow. I will be back after Christmas, and later today I will be dropping the NFL DFS main slate show. All right, guys, have a good one. Thank you for watching. See you next week.